Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by now. Here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Friday edition of the JP Peterson Show here. As we got some interesting things to get into. The Bolts last night blow a golden opportunity to get a couple of points in this playoff push. We'll get into that. Wander Franco's bank accounts have been seized, and the story behind this is crazy. We'll get into that. The Bucks looking for a franchise tag opportunity. Who should they franchise tag? We'll talk about that. And we got some great guests for you today. Doug Waechter will join us from Rays Spring Training. Talk about the Rays pitching staff and what's coming up this year for them. Always fun to talk to Doug. And Erik Erlendssen will join us, Lightning Insider, and try to make sense of what the hell's going on with your Tampa Bay Lightning. Joining me this morning is Tim Ham, IndyCar Tim from our Dallas affiliate, DSP. What's up, partner? How are you?
Good morning, JP. I don't know what the weather's been like. All I ever hear from Johnny and you guys is how great the weather is over in Tampa. We've had sunny and 80 degrees in Dallas all week.
Wow.
And
How about that for
continue through the weekend?
For February. Wow. No,
Right?
we've been colder. We've been a little chilly in the mornings, but then it warms up nicely. So perfect golf weather.
Oh man,
I'll be hitting that little white ball on we have the Gasparilla Invitational, by the way, which is out at my club at Palmacia. It's one of the top amateur tournaments in the world, and it's we bring in some of the best amateurs around, and they love the course. Set it up really, really tough for these guys, and it's really a great, and the weather has been glorious for that. So yeah, it's perfect golf weather, perfect spring training weather in the Tampa Bay area, all over Florida. This is when you want to be in Florida. Not in June, July, August, September. This is when you want to be in Florida. So yeah, and everybody's moving here. So everybody
That's what I hear.
Is moving to Florida. Sylvester Stallone announced on his show this week. I saw that on Twitter. He's moving, him and the girls. I guess he has a show where they show the whole.
Yeah. It's a good show.
Like,
it's pretty good.
He's like, we're moving to Florida. We're getting out of California. They're like, what? We can't leave LA. We can't leave LA. He's like, yeah, we're getting the hell out of this.
Like they all have to go together. Come on, they're all
like they're grown-ass women. But I think their entire existence is based on their dad. So
yeah, sure.
I don't think they're going anywhere without him and his credit cards. That's for sure. All right, so let's get into a little bit. You said you watched the game last night, the entire Bolts Capitals game last night.
I did, man, because our Dallas Stars were going up against the Ottawa Senators, as they say, up above north of the border, and couldn't watch it because no one in Texas gets Bally Sports Southwest because it's not on any cable subscription service or streaming service except for AT&T, like DirecTV or the AT&T streaming service. That's it.
You know, this is definitely an off-season topic that we need to get into. What the F have we done with our sports watching capabilities here? I mean, it's
bad. You
know, way back when DirecTV came in and it was like, oh, wow, you know, and now it's a free-for-all. And you got to have 17 different streaming services just to watch the teams you want to watch.
Yeah. It's
crazy. Or you have to have a cable service that charges you for 9,000 stations that you never watch. So can't we all just get along? Can't we all just have one streaming service that gives us for the most part, all of our different sports?
Yep.
And you see yesterday, Amazon is paying $150 million for one playoff game. Playoff game.
Do you know, of course, Amazon Prime, the streaming service for Thursday night football the last year or two.
Right. Yes.
Did you see? And I didn't know this until I read that article because it was in there. How much they pay per game for the rights to Thursday night football?
How much is that?
It's an average of $58.2 million per game is what they pay for the Thursday night football package.
Well, obviously, it's what I don't understand about Prime. Everybody, you got 180 million Prime subscribers, and that's just not for TV. That's for the whole Amazon experience.
Comes with it, though, yeah.
So it comes with it. So you've got 180 million people. So how many more people are signing up for Prime because they want to watch the NFL? First of all, somebody who has Prime. You're not. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yep.
Allergy attack coming on. Wait. Okay.
Uh-oh.
You don't want any part of that.
No.
I'll hit the mute button. Don't worry. It's like 15 sneezes in a row. It's just an explosion.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll do play-by-play for it.
Yeah, you don't want to see that. You actually, if I go on mute and I'm doing that, it might be quite entertaining. It looks like he's having a seizure. No, that's an allergy attack. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so they got 180 million. So nobody's running out to get Prime because you have the NFL, right? Isn't the main reason you do this because you want people to sign up and subscribe to your streaming service, but they already have it. So for the Amazon, so I guess they sell the advertising, obviously, but are they recouping $58 million in advertising for each regular season Thursday night game?
See, and that was my question.
I can't.
That's the only reason they would be doing that is if they're not going to lose money on it because you're not gaining. I wouldn't think you're gaining a ton of subscribers for Thursday night football. I
don't think so because, I think you would just like for Peacock, they probably gained a good amount of subscribers, for that one playoff game, but it's for 1 month and you're going to cancel it anyway. So it's basically what was it? $6.99.
$6.99, which and they paid $110 million for that Chiefs Dolphins wild card game last year.
Yeah, so they get, that's. I mean, you gotta sell a lot of subscriptions. I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't be paying for it if it didn't make them money. These are not stupid people. That's why they're ridiculously rich. But it just goes to show you how much these games are worth and how much these players are worth, and it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling, the money. But good for the NFL and good for the players, and finally good for the college players who are starting to get their payment, but still are making pennies on the dollar of what they could be making. I mean, that to me, we know the NFL is rich, and we know that there's huge audiences and everything else. Think about the eyeballs when you total them up. If you were selling. If you grab the top 96 Division 1A teams, all right, and you said, I'm going to package them all together as a TV product, and I'm going to sell them on the open market once again, which is what they should be doing. Like this is scrap the whole thing, turn it into a professional model, just like the NFL. Keep all the traditions. Actually, you could go back to the traditions and put these teams back in their right geographical conferences. So, Texas and Oklahoma can play again, Nebraska and Texas can play again, and all these great, Pitt and West Virginia, the great rivalries would be renewed. And you'd have, people being able to drive to the games instead of USC fans having to come to the shoe in Columbus. I mean, that's what should be done. Imagine what that would be worth. Imagine what that TV contract would be worth, because you're not just talking about 32 teams.
Yep.
You're talking about 96 teams, and you're talking about huge ratings when you add them all up for all the games. Holy shiz. And then that money gets distributed to the colleges and then finally to the players in the form of salaries, not NIL money, which is the wild, wild west, even playing field, salary caps, the whole nine. It's, and people are like, we can never do that. You could do it. It's better than the system you have now. It's way better. And at this time of, complete chaos in college football, it's time to scrap it and start over with the modern day, financial existence that we're dealing with here. This is not, as I've said many times, this is not, hey, let's meet in Lake City and have a little football game and maybe we'll sell some tickets and popcorn. We're not doing that anymore. These are 100,000 seat stadiums that are making $10 million per game in ticket revenue. And these games are worth hundreds of millions of dollars in ad revenue.
Yeah.
So let's do it the right way. Let's stop screwing Florida State with their TV deal, when, Alabama's making twice as much and we're supposed to be competing with them.
Yep.
Right. And the same thing goes for USF. Let USF, sharing the same amount of revenue as these other schools. Of course, now it's fraught with problems. The Ohio States and the Alabamas of the world that are the giants, they don't want to give up their financial advantage just, because so everybody else can be in the same pie and have a level playing field. They don't want to do that, right? Well, maybe they should be forced to do it because they take public money. It used to be that way. We always wanted a level playing field. We had NCAA regulations to make sure nobody got paid, even though everybody was getting paid under the table.
Right.
So it's such a mess now. Now is the time. But I just bring that up because you see how much these games are worth in the NFL. These college games are worth gazillions as well. So, let's do it the right way when we have a chance to do it. All right. So let's get into the Bolts game last night. And look, I thought they came out great. They came out, I thought they played really well early on. And we've seen this a lot. They come out with energy, but they just don't get the goals and the big goals and the early goals that they need. And then, you get behind and suddenly it's a little bit too late. But in the third period, you get 2 goals 24 seconds apart from Nick Paul and Taylor Mott, some people scoring out other than Kucherov.
Right.
And that line, and boom, all of a sudden you're back in at 3-3 in the third period. And then what do? You leave Rasmus Sundin like wide open in the middle of the ice in the slot, nobody near him. I mean, with 5 minutes to go in the third period, and he buries it. And look, when the Lightning are winning and Vasi makes that save, I'm not saying it was an easy save. You should never leave anybody open right there in the middle of the slot. Middle of the ice.
Yeah.
But those are saves that when the Lightning are playing well, he makes those 10-ball saves. He didn't make them last night. He didn't make them. He got beat short side a couple times. And, that's un-Vasi-like. And when Vasi is not the best goalkeeper in the league, which he has not been this year, he's had moments, but he's not been the dominant guy that we've seen, then the Lightning are kind of an average team. So when you have the best goaltender in the league, you need him to be the best goaltender. I'm not putting this on him. It's on the coverage last night. It's always on the defensive coverage. The defensive coverage has not been great. Last night was another example of that.
He gave up a 3-on-1.
Yeah. The odd man rushes. Here they come again, just like we saw in the beginning of the season. So that's not on Vasilevsky. I'm just saying we've watched a lot of hockey, and that's the way they've given up odd man rushes when they were winning cups. But he would make these crazy saves all the time. He's not doing that anymore. He's just like human. I mean, and I shouldn't say anymore. Last night, last couple of games, he has not been that guy. And when he's not, the Lightning look kind of average, especially with the talent that they have right now. And it's sad to say, but because of the salary cap, they've lost too many great players. I mean, the Ryan McDonoughs, the Yanni Gords, the Alex Killorns, these are all guys they would have loved to keep, but you just can't keep them all. And that's, the salary cap is what it is. And this team is just not as talented as those teams. Do they have a chance to be? Yeah, I think they could be a lot better than they are. I've said that there's players that are underperforming on this team, and they need to step up. We saw Nick Paul step up last night. That was a tremendous goal. We need more of that from Nick Paul. We saw Tyler Mott step up last night. We need more of that from him. Connor Sheary, we definitely need more from him. That bottom six has got to step up and start producing more points. And defensively, they just got to be better. You can't be in the low 20s, mid 20s in defensive efficiency and goals against and win anything in this league. You just can't. You got to be better defensively. And I don't, if it's the new system, the new coaching, the new whatever, I don't know what it is, but there's just too many odd man rushes. There's too many guys left wide open. Sundin last night, kind of unfortunate that at the blue line, Glendening gets caught up and forget who else was my notes here. And Glendening and Mott get tied up with a player and the Capitals player, and Glendening can't get his stick out from under the two of them. He's trying to get back to the middle of the ice, and by the time he gets his stick free, Sundin's put it in the back of the net. Plus, I think it was Cole Koepke who just didn't see him. I mean, you got to look, and this is something the Lightning have. Chief talks about this all the time. It's like, stop staring at your two defensemen behind the net and start looking out on the ice who's dangerous and who's coming to the front of the net and guard them. And that's been a problem. That's been a problem. So, you end up last night with a game, as Cooper said after the game, you're tied 3-3 midway through the third period, and you come out with no points at home. That's 3 straight losses at home, one to a last place team in Ottawa. One is a blowout to your rival Florida Panthers, and then the Capitals, who have been playing a little bit better as of late. They've now won 3 in a row. They come in and they get the best of you here at home in a game you had to win. So none of these are good signs. None of these are good signs. What did you see last night, Tim?
No, and for both of these teams, the playoffs have already started for both of these teams. And
absolutely,
the look that I got from Tampa Bay last night was not that look. It didn't look. They did not have the same sense of urgency that the Caps had. The 3-on-1 odd man rush that ended up with the Monta goal. That was inexcusable. Yeah, and I replayed it over and over again, starting on the Tampa's offensive zone, and there were a comedy of errors that happened on that play that they had no shot. And I just saw the Caps again, like you said, 3-3 halfway through the third. It's a game that you have to win. You're at home. You've lost 2 in a row at home badly, and you're trying to turn things around here to make a run for the postseason. And that's the best you got. It was just a lack of effort, and again, I know all these guys are trying, they're pros, blah, blah, blah. I get all of that, but man, show it on the ice. The Caps just looked like they wanted it more. And like you said, Vasi was not really on his game last night. At least 2 of those goals, he normally stops, not that they were, again, not to blame him, because a couple of those scoring chances were because of defensive breakdowns.
Right.
And you can't put all this on your goaltender, because he makes up for it, because he wins you some you probably shouldn't win from time to time, right?
Absolutely.
So they all balance out in the wash, but just a better effort from the Caps overall, I thought.
Yeah, and this is a proud group, and you feel like they're going to bounce back. I still believe they have one of the best cores in the league, but you don't win in the playoffs, and certainly in the playoff push, with 4 or 5 guys. You got to have everybody pulling their weight. And right now, we just don't see that. So, we've talked about this on this show, who's coming in, what's Breezeball going to do. I'll be shocked if he doesn't do something. But I think just in general, and talking to some people in the media last night, it just feels like this team needs a wake-up call of some sort. I mean, here's the deal. John Cooper, he's been, he's the longest tenured coach in hockey. Mm-hmm. Am I saying his message is getting stale? No, I'm just, he knows how to coach, and he knows the recipe of what this team needs. He knows the recipe of what it takes to win a cup. And so do the core players on this team, because they've done it twice. They know exactly what they need to do. They know exactly where their desperation needs to be. But there comes a time when talent is talent. When you don't have Ryan McDonough, when you don't have Sergachev, when you don't have, not that Sergei was playing a tremendous brand of hockey, but he's a talented offensive defenseman that you need those guys to step up. And Sergei was going to get better. He was going to get back to his level of play. And you need that. You got to have guys like that. And if you don't, you're going to get beat in this league. And especially when you have teams that are more desperate than you. And I think if the Lightning are being honest, like your assessment last night of that game, I think is spot on. I'm not, again, Cooper said last night he had no problem with the effort and the desperation. I get it. Yeah, I mean, I think he's trying to. He doesn't want to come in there every night and beat him up. He can't do that, right? You can't do that. So he's got to try to pick him up and say, and they're close. I mean, last night that's a game that they should have won, and they had their opportunities.
You even had another Caps goal that was disallowed for an offside on a review on a coach's challenge. By the way, good review, good challenge by the coach.
Yeah,
see that.
Nigel Kerwin and the video gang doing a great job. That was huge. That kept them in the game, right? Yep. And then a couple minutes later, you give up that chance. So, they've got 2 back-to-backs this weekend. They got the Isles and the Devils this weekend, and you got to come out with at least 2. Like 2 is a must. I want 4. It's because these are 2 teams that that are around. They're behind you in the standings. Okay, in that wild card standing. So these are, even though they're not division games, they're wild card games. So these are worth 4 points. So you have, in essence, back-to-back 8 points here that you have to have in going up against these two teams that are chasing you. So these are 2 road games that you got to go out back-to-back and step up and win. Then you got Philly, and then you got a 5-game homestand against some teams you can beat. And so, you got a stretch run here where you got to – it's like you said, Tim, the playoffs have started. The playoffs have started. You cannot monkey around, hanging around the second wild card position because you never know what's going to happen to you late in the season. Don't leave it to chance. And, get your butt in good position. And if they're going to make a deep run, they got to start playing better. They just got to start playing better. And we just haven't seen that yet. So,
you're a point behind Detroit. You're 7 points now behind Toronto. You're not going to catch Florida or Boston for sure, but those guys are within reach. You just got to play better.
Yeah. And we'll do some more lightning with Erik Erlendssen a little bit later on in the show. And Doug Waechter is going to join us at 10:30. Erik's going to join us at 11:15. Doug at 10:30 to talk some Rays baseball. All right, so we're in the middle of this Bucks offseason, and we've seen this kind of window go earlier this week where they could have signed Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield to long-term deals and save some cap space. That kind of came and went. That's not a shock. They're going to have the franchise tag date coming up pretty soon. It's kind of I think everybody believes that the Bucks are going to use that tag on Antoine Winfield Jr. I would like to see them get a long-term deal with him instead. And then maybe you can franchise your kicker, which would save you a lot of money. And it's probably something that they would want to do because you want Chase McLaughlin back. He was huge for them last year, and franchising your kicker is cheap. It's what, $7-8 million, I think, if that. So that would be, and it'll probably be less than what you may have to pay him because he was so freaking good.
Yeah.
The kickers are weird. Like Chase McLaughlin had been on 4 different teams before that, and then he comes here and he's freaking perfect. So, but he's definitely in a groove. You don't want to lose that. That's a winning edge. Just ask the Buffalo Bills how important having a money kicker is. Man, that's something that you got to get done. So I think, it looks like it's going to be Antoine Winfield Jr., but hopefully they can work out a long-term deal with him. We still don't know, the smoke around Mike Evans is starting to be concerning. I mean, every time I turn on, the TV and they're talking about free agency, it's like Mike Evans is going to the Jets. Mike Evans is going to the Chiefs, which makes no sense. They don't have cap room to get to fit Mike Evans under there. And they already showed you that they can win. They can win with mediocre receivers. Right. Why would they go out and pay Mike Evans, $25 million a year? That makes no sense to me. Yeah, I mean, it'd be a great fit for them, but I don't see how they do that under the cap. If you're going to get rid of Tyreek Hill, why would you go out and pay exorbitantly for Mike Evans? That makes no sense. Yeah. So I don't see him going to the Chiefs. The Texans is obviously. I think where the biggest threat is coming from, that's his hometown, Galveston. You got C.J. Stroud. You got an up-and-coming team that's on the rise. You got, a great coach, D'Amico Ryans. That looks like a great situation for him, and they got tons of salary cap room as well. So that, to me, is where your biggest challenge is going to come if he gets to free agency. And I think that the Bucs are going to probably let Mike Evans get to free agency and determine his value, because the reports are that his team and the Bucs are far apart on a deal. And I'm sure his agent is like, I'm going for broke here. I'm asking for $30 million a year. I'm looking for 120 guaranteed over 4 or 5 years. And that's too much. That's just too much. And of course, that's what he should ask for. But what's his real value? And I think that's what the Bucs are going to want to find out. Where's his real value? And I think the Bucs are confident that they've created a culture here. And I think Mike would love to stay and play with Baker Mayfield because Baker loves him and is going to give him 10 to 12 targets a game, which is what you want, right? Is that going to happen with C.J. Stroud? You could say it is, but, he likes some of his receivers too.
Yeah.
They had a great year together. So I think the unknown is still there for Mike Evans. You don't know, as much as it looks great in Houston. You just, you don't know about the ownership group. You don't know how you're going to be coached. You don't know if you're going to fit in their system. You just don't know. There are a lot of unknowns. They can say we're going to do this, we're going to do that, blah 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 blah. But you do know what life is like in Tampa. You have your home here. You have your foundation here. You're entrenched here. Mike wants to stay here. It would, and now that there's clarity at quarterback, and I think there is clarity because I don't think Baker's going anywhere. Then you've got some stability, and I think he'd be comfortable re-signing here. So, as much as there's a lot of smoke around Mike Evans and where people, and of course he's much in demand, there's no question about that. I still think in the end that Jason Light's going to get these deals done. And, I could be wrong. We could wake up, they could hit free agency. We could wake up one morning and boom, there it is. He's gone. But my gut feeling tells me that the Bucs have enough money where they can make this happen.
So for those that don't know, March 13th is the beginning of the new league year for the NFL, their year. And that is when free agency kicks in. So everybody's got until March 13th to re-sign your guy if that's what you want to do, if you want to avoid him hitting the open market.
Yep.
And of course, as the editor-in-chief of RavenCountry.com for Sports Illustrated, JP, it's my job to throw out irresponsible reports about possibly
and you do it well.
About why the Ravens are in play for Mike Evans. And of course they're not. They've got 23 free agents of their own that they really need to work on. Well, probably 17 of those 23 they'll make shots at to keep. Justin Matabuke, their outstanding defensive tackle from Texas A&M, by the way, is a free agent. They'll probably salary cap or franchise tag him. So then I did a little playing with some contract restructuring, and if the Ravens restructure Mark Andrews and Marcus Williams, that'll free up about $26 million of cap space for them because they only have about 5 right now going into next season.
Wow.
And so you know what? Again, irresponsibly reporting, they could do that and go out and make a run for Mike Williams. Mike Evans. Yeah.
Do you think with Zay Flowers' emergence, they need a receiver? With Odell Beckham Jr.
Well, I don't have Beckham's a free agent. I don't think they're bringing him back.
Yeah.
They overpaid horribly for him last year.
They paid him $20 million, didn't they?
No, it was 15 plus incentives.
Jesus.
And he ended up making 16. He made $1 million of those incentives. But
how many catches did he have? Like 40? If that.
He had maybe 50 for 700 yards. I mean, not, and he wasn't hurt. I mean, he missed a couple of games, but just not because of anything serious, but he, him and Lamar Jackson just never did click. Right. They brought back Nelson Aguilar, who they brought in on a 1-year deal last season. They've re-signed him, but it's a minimal, obviously, contract. I think it's $3 million for next year, 3.75. I do not see them bringing back Beckham. If he wants to play, he's going to have to play for $7 or $8 million somewhere, and the Ravens just probably aren't going to do that. So I think they're going to go out and try to get another veteran receiver. They can't afford somebody like Mike Evans to pay him $20 million. You can't do that. But yeah, no, I think they do still need a receiver.
I'm looking at how many great receivers have played well into their 30s. Larry Fitzgerald played till he was 37 years old, and was very productive. Well, let's see where his production started. I mean, his last from age 32 to age 37, he missed 3 games. I mean, that's remarkable. In age 32, he had 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. Next year, 1,023, 6 touchdowns. At age 34, 1,156, 6 touchdowns. At age 35, 734. That's when age 35, the drop off came a little bit. He still had 69 catches. Age 36, he had 75 catches for 804. Look, the yards going down, right? 54 catches at age 37 for 409. But you remember Larry Fitzgerald being effective late into his 30s. I remember Jerry Rice being effective late into his 30s. Can you imagine any other receivers that were really productive into their 30s?
Man, I was just trying to think about that, and I'm glad you read some of those stats off on Fitzgerald. My question on the Fitzgerald is who was throwing him the ball that late in his career?
Well, you had Kurt Warner.
Right, and in the Super Bowl run years, but that was
and after that it was Carson Palmer, I think.
Right.
So he had some decent quarterbacks. He had some decent quarterbacks.
I mean, it was Palmer very, very late in his career.
Yeah, and you know, famously, you know, Megatron called it a career at age 30.
Right.
And which is, you know, just unbelievable. As good as he was, and his last few years at, you know, at age 29, 71 catches, 1,000 yards. His last year he had 88 catches, 1,214 yards, and 9 touchdowns at age 30. But you know, obviously he called it quits earlier. So there's not a huge resume of guys that have you know, been really good after age 30. But Mike seems like he's poised to do a Larry Fitzgerald. They're the same type of guy, hot, super high character guy. They work their ass off. They're leaders in their community, on their team. Like, to me, Mike and Larry Fitzgerald are like almost exactly the same dudes, and just as their makeup. And you know, again, Fitzgerald played very productive into his late 30s. So I think it's worth it to give Mike, you know, some money and a lot of money, maybe just not crazy money. But we'll see.
And if Mike's going to be a true Larry Fitzgerald, right? If he's going to mimic his career, then he's got to stay in Tampa his whole career, right?
That's right. That's right. That's a very good point there, Tim. Actually,
so there you go.
All right, let's talk some baseball with our good friend Doug Waechter, Rays analyst for Bally Sports. What's up, Doug? How are you, my friend?
You're talking about giving him big money, but not huge money, like JP Peterson money, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, once you get into that stratosphere, I mean, you see this lavish set I have behind me.
I like it.
Yeah, I may have to sell that Taylor Swift signed guitar behind me.
JP Peterson money is up there with Gisele Bundchen money, right? Not even Tom Brady, but Gisele money.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't pay to get her nails done. What's up, my friend? You're looking good, man. You got the backwards hat working. I just got a haircut.
I might have to got a haircut. I got.
Look at that! Look at that salad, bro.
Yeah, now he's just rubbing it in now.
You know, it's getting more grays every year. Every year, it's funny. Like the first couple shows, I'll jump on Bally and I'll look at the return feed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my hair's getting gray, man. Like I'm getting older. What's going on here?
Are you seriously complaining about that beautiful head of hair you have? I mean, look at us. Look at us.
What color it is.
Sakes.
Yeah, well, no, hey, look, it looks good on you guys, though. You wear it well.
Yeah, you complaining. These guys, Timmy, these young guys with all the hair, right?
Professional athletes, right? They have all of it.
Yeah.
The hair, the girls, the money, all of it.
So I promised you I wouldn't ask you about Wander's bank accounts. We'll get to that later.
Right.
God, what a mess.
Boy.
What I want to know from you is, have you seen any of these young pitchers, especially Uwasawa?
Yeah, Uwasawa. I have not been down there yet.
Okay.
I've talked to a bunch of folks that have been down there, and my first game I'm going to be down there doing is Tuesday. So I'm actually going to try to get down there Monday at some point also and see the fellas. You know, I've heard really good things. Everybody is raving about the arms in camp right now, and that's been one of the bigger question marks. You know, what are they going to look like? How's the rotation going to shape out, right? I mean, that's one of the things that you know, I'll be focused on this spring for sure, because we do have some new faces, some younger faces that they're going to rely on heavily.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting time, but you know, at this point in time in camp, you're hearing a lot of good things, and you're also hearing everybody that you anticipate coming in healthy is healthy. And so, you know, exactly. So the first couple of weeks of camp and really in spring training in general, that's what you want to hear.
Yeah. So I guess at this point, Zach Eflin is your number one guy. Let's go through the rotation and kind of give me a little scouting report. I'll tell you what the guys I'm excited about. I'm excited about Taj Bradley, because his stuff is just, as you know, and we'll talk a little bit more about him. It's just electric. And then you want Eflin to be Eflin and maybe get a little bit more from Savali. What are you thinking this year as we start?
Look, Eflin's your anchor, right?
Yeah.
I really want to see Eflin go out there and just take the ball every 5 days and do the exact same thing he did last year. Eflin is one of those guys who, you know, on the field, he's got it all. He's got command. He's got swing and miss. He's got everything you need in an ace starter. But he also competes, and he can also mentor some of these younger guys that he's going to need to do. So he's got everything you want in a number one. Really like Eflin going out there. Savali, he has the stuff for swing and miss. At times he can go out and, you know, throw a lot of pitches early, which drives up pitch counts, drives up Unfortunately, drives up the use a little bit early, and they have to go to the bullpen a little bit earlier than expected. But hopefully this year he'll be able to go in there and maybe get a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Is what I assume they're looking for him to do. 5+, 6 innings,
be more efficient. Yeah,
would be really nice if you can go out there and, like you said, just be more efficient. That'd be a big step for him to going in the right direction. I think Taj Bradley, we talked about him. I think last time I was on, man, I really think this guy is primed to have a good season. He's going to go out there. He's been working on secondary pitches, and specifically for me, that's what I'm looking at for Taj. I want to see him go through those secondary pitches and be able to throw those behind in the count and get outs with them. And if he does that, then he could have a really, really good year because, you said it. He's got the stuff to be a top of the rotation guy. He's just, he's younger and he needs some time in the big leagues and he just needs some reps.
Yeah, it seemed like with Taj, there would just be, he'd be sailing along, striking out 7 of 8 sometimes. I mean, just ridiculous, untouchable. Then he, would get a guy on, stolen base, he walk a guy, and then a 3-run bomb. And it's just like in a moment, he went from dominating to being down 3-0. And it just seemed to happen to him time and time again. And that comes with experience, right? When something bad happens, to pitch around things, pitch away. So this is something that we can expect a nice jump from him because of the stuff and how he learns how to use the stuff.
Yeah, that's the next stage in the process of maturing for a young starter. He's a power pitcher who really never struggled in the minor leagues. I mean, this guy who can just go out there and dominate with one pitch. So, it's a kind of a credit to what kind of stuff he has. He can just roll through minor league professional teams with some good hitters on him and just dominate with a fastball if he wanted to. And so now that he's, at a level where they're going to challenge him to throw strikes and be in the zone consistently, for a younger power pitcher like that, the first thing they have to really go through and get over is working around that one big inning. And we saw it at times with Taj last year, and we saw him lights out last year as well. And so I think that, if he can go out there and just eliminate that inning, then you're talking about a guy who can really fit in real nice right behind Eflin potentially as a top of the rotation type guy.
What do you see from Zach Littell? I mean, obviously when he got it going, he got used to the starter's role. His he had a 3.34 ERA in his I think his last 12 starts. So that he was a huge surprise as a starter. Can he continue that?
It was crazy to me to see how quickly he adjusted to the starting rotation. I mean, most of the time you see a guy jump out of the rotation to the bullpen during the year, not the other way around. And you had Littell, who essentially had to build his innings up as a starter in the major leagues, which is extremely hard to do. But he was able to do it because he was so efficient with his pitches. I mean, he is precise when he gets on that mound and just dialed in. He's got kind of that bulldog mentality of he's attacking hitters nonstop. And, whenever you have the hitters on their heels right after pitch one, I mean, it does flip the count in your favor, and it really does make a big difference. So I do think Zach Littell has the stuff to continue to be good in the rotation for the Tampa Bay Rays. The good thing is for Littell, I mean, he's going to be penciled in probably middle to late in this rotation. He's going to be going up against a lot of other 4 and 5s. Yeah. And puts up numbers like last year, he's going up against 4 and 5s in other rotations. That's going to create a lot of wins for him because, again, he is very efficient. He can get through 5 or 6 innings pretty clean because he's always attacking that zone. And so I do like where he's at. I do like the idea of him being in the back end of this rotation and giving us a quality start every time out.
And do you see Uwasawa working in here as a 5th starter? Who do you see? Who do you think?
Him or Pepio?
Pepio, yeah. I forgot about
him. Uwasawa because of the ability to go back and forth through the rotation in the bullpen. He can be a swing guy. He can be a long reliever. We all know how the Rays love to use the bullpen early and often, especially early in the season, when your starters aren't really stretched out to the point where they're consistently going 7 innings. A guy like Uwasawa is going to be very valuable. So I could see him making this team just as a swing guy at first and then filling in the rotation when they need to and kind of doing he's almost like a utility man on the staff, right?
He could be an opener.
Right. And that's
How about him as an opener?
Yeah, it's a very valuable role. So yeah, well, you could do anything.
How do they prepare for that? I mean,
yeah,
see that guy and then bring whoever else right behind him. That would
right.
be
And
bananas.
so it's really hard. It would be really hard to not see him somewhere on this team. Opening day, I really like him and the role that he's going to have. And I think Pepio, I talked to Cash a little bit ago, maybe a few days ago, and he was raving about this guy's stuff. He said just in his first couple bullpens, down in Port Charlotte, this guy's bumping 96 in a bullpen, right? And so, I mean, that's incredible to me because you don't really have adrenaline going. You got nobody in the box going against you. And so you're going up there, going mid to upper 90s in that situation. That is very, very impressive. And it shows what kind of stuff this guy comes over with. I don't think the Dodgers were wanting to trade him, but I think that, it was a deal that they had to get done. So they reluctantly did give in and pass him along to the Rays. And I think the Rays are going to benefit from that.
So you talk to Cash, you get any contract details out of him?
No.
Did he cash in? Is his name now part of that deal, Kevin Cash?
Yeah, no, I haven't dialed in the contract talk with Cash.
Okay.
No, I keep it on the field.
All right, just it seems to be the nuclear secret around here. So I'm trying to figure these things out. That's what I do. So we're trying. I could tell you this. He and Erik Neander are very happy. So yes. That's all we care about. Keep them around. That's all we care about. All right, let's transition to the bullpen. And I'll be honest with you, I can't keep track of who's healthy and who's not. Like, where do we have any slots here for the bullpen? What are we thinking?
Like, there's always slots for the bullpen arms, right? You got certain guys that are, of course, going to be penciled in. Fairbanks is going to be your dog in the back end bullpen. Guys all around him, but. It's one of those things that I think the bullpen, there are some arms that will have a chance to make that team, but, it's going to be a strength, and it's a strength that the Rays always look at and look into. And there's always a couple spots in there that you can shuffle around, but the majority of that pen is going to be set. And again, it's going to anchor around Pete Fairbanks. Sean Armstrong's another guy who's outstanding. So, it's kind of similar to the last 5 years that we've talked about a bullpen. It's going to be a strength of the team. They're going to have power arms, and they're going to be able to go at you and pump a lot of strikes.
I think Jason Adam he's healthy, right?
Yes.
Shane Boston won't be back till mid.
Shane Boston will be back. Yeah, they're anticipating him coming back somewhere in the summertime.
Okay.
And that's all anticipation. That's not based on health. That's just based on getting this guy back out there and getting him more reps. He's going out there and he's throwing the ball really well right now. And so he's still so young, right?
Yeah.
And he's still considered a prospect because he just has very limited time in the big league level.
Right.
So when we have seen him healthy, he's been outstanding. And you can tell how this guy's stuff can translate into a top of the rotation type guy. But you just gotta let him mature organically, and you don't want to rush that process. And if they can do that and they can hold him off until they really want him up, then the second half of the season could be outstanding for him.
You hear anything on Matone? Is it Matone? How do you say
Matone,
that?
Yeah. So Matone, he's awesome addition to this bullpen. Really like the addition of him, kind of like a Colin McHugh to me, to where he goes out there, not going to overpower you with the fastball, right? He's going to sit around 88 to 90 miles an hour with the fastball. But this dude, what he's very good at is spinning it, right?
Yeah.
He create a lot of weak contact with some elite spin on the breaking pitches, multiple different breaking pitches that he can throw everything for a strike. And he just creates, again, a lot of weak contact. And those are guys who can get you out of a jam pretty quick. He can also get some swing and miss on that. And he's been around in the big leagues for a little bit now. So it's not like you're going out there hoping this guy can go out there and handle the pressures of major league life. It's one of those where you know what you're getting out of him. And, it's exciting to have a guy like that who can go in there, throw strikes, and get you a lot of quality outs.
All right, so that's the pitching staff. What do you expect? If you could say one guy that might surprise in this lineup. I mean, last year, you had some guys jump in and hit 30 bombs in Paredes that we didn't see that coming. Anybody on this team up and coming that you see like that could be that much of a surprise?
Yeah, outside of the guys that kind of everybody's talking about, I think we should still keep our eye on Jonathan Aranda, man. That guy, if he can get some decent reps at the plate,
yeah,
he's a guy who has put up some monster numbers in AAA. And from what I've seen, I really think that his game does translate to the major leagues. Now, he's got just a great idea at the plate for a young player on what pitchers are trying to do to him. And he's able to adjust in at bats that a lot of younger players aren't able to do. So I just like him. I like his hitting tools. And I think that he'll be pretty good for us offensively if he can get the swings that he needs to, if he can get in the box consistently enough. And that's the whole thing is, how are you going to get him in the lineup? Where's he going to pencil into? How are you going to get this guy into a good rhythm? Because again, I think there's a lot of upside there, and I think that he could have a really good season.
All right, partner. And we have a lot of the same guys back in the lineup. I mean, I know there were no huge additions, but you just expect more production just because these guys are getting older. Sometimes we forget that a lot of these guys are just young and they're still growing in the major leagues, and they're going to get better just by being older, more experienced players, right? So we should expect that this offense will be good. And I know we have to wait to the postseason to really judge it, but because that's kind of where we're at now with this team. That's a good thing, right? When the postseason becomes the most important thing, when making the playoffs is almost a given, that's a good thing. But I think all these guys just get better by experience, I hope.
Yeah, I do too. I think, a couple of them, if they can just repeat what they did. Yandy Diaz, I mean, look, just repeat what you did last year. I mean, he was a monster at the plate. Isaac Paredes had a career year. These guys can consistently put up the same numbers. That'd be huge. Josh Lowe, he was outstanding all year for me. For a young guy to come in and throw up those kind of numbers, do what he did on the bases, and be there offensively and defensively for the team. He really stepped it up last year. Would love to see him continue that trend. One guy I think that could make big gains going into this season, Jose Siri is a guy that if he can cut down just a little bit on that swing and miss and just put the ball in play with his speed, I could see him, really doing a lot more damage on the bases.
Yeah.
I don't think he was able to utilize his speed as much in the stolen base category last year, just because he was more of a power guy with a low on base percentage. And if he can get on base a little bit more frequently and just use those legs as a weapon, I think that would really benefit him and his career and the Rays. So I would look for Jose Siri to take a nice step forward too.
You think Rosario starts at shortstop? I mean, that's a very interesting pickup that they just got. He hits lefties really well, so you get a little pop from the shortstop position. What do you think the shortstop position looks like early on in the season?
Yeah, well, with Taylor Wall still, rehabbing that hip injury, should be back, within the first month of the season or somewhere right after that. I think Rosario could pencil in to the shortstop position and really get a decent amount of reps. Now, this is a super utility guy too. I mean, This guy, he played outfield, he can play middle infield, he can play anywhere on the diamond. So he's like a perfect fit for Tampa Bay because we know they love putting these guys into a lineup to where they can shuffle them all around and just utilize their matchups at the offensive side, and then put them on defense, plug them on defense, and know that they're going to have solid defenders out there. So he fits the team perfectly. I think it was a great sign. I mean, they only signed him for $1.5 million. This dude has playoff experience. He's had some really good years in the big league. So a lot to like about that addition. And I do think he'll see the majority of the time as of right now, maybe at shortstop. We'll see. Caballero, they really like him too. So, one of those things, see how it plays out.
All right, we're going to be able to watch you on Valley Sports like all year long. Like we're going to be getting the games. Very, very excited about watching you and Rich and the whole team this summer. But we never know where this thing is going with streaming. So as far as you know, Valley's is good to go. We got you on Spectrum, right? We can watch it. That's still on Spectrum, right?
From my understanding, you can basically tune in the same exact way you tuned in last year.
Okay.
Should be good to go. And you can see me and Rich with our makeup on and hair gelled up real nice.
So I don't have to buy Prime or Peacock or Hulu or everything else. I just
Valley whatever. I mean, I know the Valley app always, you can be safe with that. I know that. So outside of that, wherever you get your Valley Sports, that's where you can dig into it.
So, what's interesting here in Dallas, Doug, I live in DFW. By the way, thanks for that playoff loss to the Rangers last year. That really sent us over the top. Here in Texas at Valley Sports Southwest, like literally nobody gets that. And nobody can watch the Rangers. Nobody can watch the Stars. Nobody can watch the Mavericks. So the teams got together and struck a deal with the local ABC affiliate here, WFAA-TV here in Dallas, to broadcast a handful of games so that the masses like us can watch that. Do you guys not have that same issue out there in Florida? Is it a little more widely streamed, I guess?
I know it's widely streamed. I know viewership is just so different in every single region, right?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to talk about any other region and how they handle all the things going on there. But typically, at least as long as I've seen it and I've been involved with the Rays on the broadcast side of things, the viewership has been very, very strong for Tampa.
Very robust.
So they find ways to watch, whether you do have cable, whether you have the app, whatever it is. So we've been blessed to be able to have a good amount of following, and also people that have been able to find ways to tune in. So I know it's different, honestly, in every single state, in every team. And it's not just baseball. We know it's it's hockey, it's basketball, it's all kinds of stuff. So it's just kind of the way technology has changed over the years, and all this just come around. And I think it's still everybody just trying to figure out what's best for to get the broadcast to as many people as possible.
It's easier for me to watch a Lightning, Rays game than it is for me to watch a Rangers or a Stars game here in Dallas. And that's
Tim, I think that answers your question. You just need to lock into the Rays.
There you go.
Hey man, I've kind of become a fan. I've become a fan. They saw a lot more success than the Rangers did up until last year. So absolutely.
Yeah, we could steal that World Series title. That would be nice. They won a World Series title, but nobody saw it in Dallas. That's fantastic.
Well, it was on Fox. Come on.
I know. How they can't watch it, the regular season games is bananas. All right, Doug, appreciate you, my friend. We will be watching on Bally's, on the app, and on Spectrum. So we really appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
All right, got it, boys. Have a great day.
Good. Haircut looks wonderful.
Rubbing it in.
I'll just take the next time, have the clippings and send them over. Like paste them on my bald spot. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You boys.
The great Doug Waechter there. All right. We got to take a break where we give you 51 minutes of uninterrupted Tampa Bay sports talk there. We do it each and every day, my friends. We thank our sponsors, the Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Italiano Insurance, the Golden Diamond Source, the Geddes Gordon Group, American Mortgage Services, and Synovus Bank. Thank you all so much for being our great sponsors and being able to get this great content out to the people. We'll take a break. We'll thank some of those sponsors and be back on the other side. Stay with us.
This is The Strike. 102.5 WHPT, HD2 Sarasota, Tampa, St. Pete.
JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation, and that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a Get Acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just
get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on TrueBody and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Rookie move. Took a late bite during the break. Haven't eaten breakfast this morning.
Me neither. Eating on the air.
So apologize for that, my friends.
That's in Radio School 101, JP. You don't eat on the air.
I thought we had one more spot. My bad. Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here, brought to you by the great folks at the Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Get your testosterone right, kids. If you have not had your testosterone tested, you could be, late 20s, early 30s. Even those numbers are down just due to the environment and the food. And our the American food supply is so bad. If you don't know this, that's why you got to go to Bay Area Modern Medical Center to get those great recommendations from Chris Lugo, who has a nutritional science degree. He's off with the National Guard this week playing Army. So we'll hear from him next week. But Bay Area Modern Medical Center, go to BAMMC.com. They'll help you with your nutrition, your testosterone, your immune system, all that stuff. In this day and age, folks, you need someone to guide your medical care because the 15 minutes you get with your doctor is not doing it. So go to BAMMC.com and get that. All right. So I didn't bring this up with Doug because it's, this is off the field stuff that we don't really need to get into with him. But this story, the Wander Franco story, just gets more and more bizarre. Tim, I don't know if you saw the latest on this.
I've not.
So, and this is from the Tampa Bay Times. Juan Carlos Chavez dug into this a little bit more. So the authorities in Dominican Republic have ordered a temporary freeze on 3 bank accounts linked to Wander Franco. This is because Juan Francisco Rodriguez Consoro, one of his former attorneys, is seeking the equivalent of $256,000 for the 7 weeks that he represented Wander Franco. $256,000 for 7 weeks of work.
I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah, but it gets better. So a little more than a week ago, Consoro informed the Tampa Bay Times via text message that he no longer represented Franco. Franco faces possible criminal charges relating to an alleged sexual relationship with a 14-year-old girl. We know this. So Consoro will have the opportunity to present to a judge all the procedures and diligences he conducted on behalf of Wander, and that judge or the necessary judges will decide if Wander truly owes him the amount of money he is demanding. But Encarnacion, who is what is his role in this whole thing? I think it's one of the other attorneys, says, but what he intends to charge is an abuse. It seems like an abuse. $256,000 for 7 weeks work.
Yeah.
Like, what are we charging here? So as we go down further in the story, we find out this. So less than a year ago, Rodriguez Consoro, his attorney, was removed from his position as a criminal court judge following an investigation by the DR's judiciary's highest disciplinary body. It found out that he accepted bribes and issued court orders favoring suspects in several criminal cases, according to court documents. So Franco goes and hires this attorney who was a judge that was on the take, right, and got taken off the bench. So then went, because this is how many things work in the legal system. And I say in the DR, but obviously
it's everywhere.
In America as well. Yep. Our justice system is so horribly broken. It's not even funny. So this is what now Wander is. So let's add up everything in this particular story now, right? So we have a mother who was admitted to extorting Wander Franco, and setting him up with her 14-year-old daughter. Okay. And then we
that should be enough right there, right? Like that's all you need.
I mean, the mother is the one who, allegedly put this whole deal together.
Prostituting her daughter out.
That is what is alleged. And there's we've seen the Instagram post and not only we've established that there was extortion here, like that she admitted to that. So we have that going on. We have, the Wanders in the text messages back and forth with the 14-year-old. So that's out there as well. And so obviously that's what he's charged with. And now he hires an attorney who was a judge who was on the take. Now, if you're a judge on the take and you're disbarred from where you're thrown off the bench, how are you still able to practice law? Like, how do you have a law license if you've been charged and convicted of taking bribes? Because clearly what you're going to do as an attorney is now take the money from your client and trying to bribe the next judge, because that's how it works. I mean, that's I'm reading between the lines. Why would that? So now this guy's saying he didn't pay me my money. I want my money, and going to the court. I mean, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? And then you hear all these stories. At least I've heard stories from people that have lived in the Dominican Republic that have played in Major League Baseball that are like, normally, these things happen. It's part of the culture down there. And they just, people get paid off and it all goes away. So they're shocked that Wander is being prosecuted for this.
Right.
And again, I'm not making any judgments on any of it, but man, is this just, it's
because of who he is, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's because of who he is. But again, all the other baseball players that have been involved in some of these allegations and other things, for the most part, they always just, charges get dropped, people get paid off, it goes away. But for some reason, that's not happening with Wander Franco. And now his attorney is suing him, this attorney that was thrown off the bench for taking bribes and giving light sentences. I mean,
so this sounds to me more than a real life event that's happening. This sounds more like to me something you would read in the TV guide. Well, nobody knows what a TV guide is anymore. Sorry, on the movie of the week on Telemundo or Univision or something, right?
Yes, you can make a miniseries out of this, no doubt about it. Yeah, there's
no question. Thornbirds. This is better than the Thornbirds.
I'd like to see it actually. This would be one of those, SUV plots or what have you, whatever, or SVU.
Law and Order, Dominican Republic.
SUV, whatever the hell it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And here's the deal. There's a $182 million contract at stake here.
Jeez.
That the Rays are undoubtedly trying to get out of, I would imagine, and should be able to get out of if he's going to jail, sure. Right? And so
there's got to be a clause.
Yeah, of course. So what the hell is going on? And it just seems like there's a piss and match between the authorities and judges, and dirty judges, dirty cops, dirty lawyers, and here we have all that's at stake is the future of this young man's baseball career, which I think he's kind of obviously been vilified here in the Tampa Bay market. I mean, how could he ever come back and play here? But the problem is we don't know what happened. We don't know. And I'm not trying to, I mean, you should know if you're messing around with a 14-year-old, you should know. I mean, figure it out. You got to be, and what are you doing, Wander Franco, with all that's at stake, messing around with this kind of stuff? This is just silly, especially when you can have just about any woman of age that you would want with your money
America.
and you're in America, anywhere like you. I mean, it's not like there's a lack of opportunity here for you. So it's the most bizarre story. And what's so sad is this guy was the absolute cornerstone of this franchise moving forward. I mean, he is a transcendent talent that the Rays had tapped into since he was 16 years old. And it's such a sordid story, but it really has derailed this franchise in a very big way. And I don't think we talk about it enough, because this is a franchise that depends on young talent. And he's a guy that is a power hitter in the middle of your lineup, run producer, tremendous defensively, like a generational talent. And it's just, you're going to get nothing for him in terms of a trade. You get no value out of him whatsoever. It's this is a setback that is really, especially for a team like the Rays, is hard to come back from. If Junior Caminero can be every bit as good as him, then you certainly get a reprieve of some sort. But wouldn't it have been nice to have both guys, playing second and third? I mean, think of the, not to dismiss Itzhak Paredes and his, 30 bombs, but still, these guys, hopefully, this is what you build your franchise on. And it's a bizarre story. And I wish we had more information on it, like more solid information to go about, but we don't.
And I mean, you wonder at this point if we're going to get more information on it, right? Like, I know it's still kind of a current thing that's happening, but being based down there, we can't trust anything really that we get news wise out of there, right? I mean,
not really.
It's going to be twisted. With all the corruption and everything involved with the justice system and the legal system down there, we don't know what's true and what's not.
No,
so we may never really find out. And that kind of begs the question, at least for me, like, I know these kids are getting, and I'll use the word recruited, scouted by pro teams down there all over the world now. This thing happens when you're 13, 14, 15 years old. And I know I've been hearing the name Wander Franco for years, probably when he was 14 or 15 years old, about being the next big thing. I've got a good buddy here in Dallas that used to play in the major leagues, works for 105.3 The Fan here on the radio here in Dallas. Mike Bassick, he pitched for years in the major leagues. By the way, Mike Bassick's claim to fame is he gave up number 715 to Barry Bonds. That's his claim to fame in the major leagues. But no, he is in tune with the scouting, all these, and he's been talking to me about Wander Franco for years. So he was already on the radar, right? Mm-hmm. So I wonder if the major leagues, and they have to, but maybe for sure, if the major leagues has programs in place for some of these young guys, once they get signed to a major league team and they become the property of that team, not that they're on the roster or with the big club, but once you're property of that team, do they have any sort of provisions for these guys to help instruct them, to help teach them, to help groom them to what they're going to see and things that they should expect that's going to happen to them now as professional athletes, as big names? Do they have anything like that in place that you're aware of? I know the NFL has something like that now.
Yeah, the NFL has their rookie symposium where they do all that stuff. I don't know if they do or not. And clearly, and this is something we've talked about with the Rays for the last few years, is where are the grizzled veterans that are going to mentor these young players and tell them how to handle their business. And to some degree, I think the Rays tried that with Wander, but, he seemed to be a pretty stubborn dude. I mean, he was, from the very beginning, showing up in Bentleys and, hundreds of thousands of dollars of jewelry. And that's fine. Sure. You got your bonus money, you do all that, but, you see some of the more serious players not doing that, and paying more attention to their craft and paying more attention to doing the right things off the field, because it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're making stupid moves off the field, and he is exhibit A, this is what's going to happen to your career. And, I can't sit here and say with any, intelligence what exactly the Rays have tried to do. They're a smart organization. I know they tried to help this young man in every way they could. But, I mean, you just look at what went down last year. It was the Rays that came forward and basically put a story out there about how Wander was a bad teammate. I mean, how have you ever? I mean, when that whole thing happened, I'm like, wait, what? The Rays, because Mark Topkin wrote the story. So basically, the Rays had to go to Topkin and say, because I'm sure Topkin's not, hey, how is Wander Franco a good teammate? Like, what's going on here? And then, there were quotes from the general manager and everybody like, the dude has issues. I don't think I've ever seen a team do that. Publicly put their business out there, on your own guy. Like, that's weird. Like, what? And it begs the question, did they know? Did they sniff what was going on here and try to, head it off at the pass? Or did they, find out what was going on and said, we need to get out of this contract? Let's throw this guy under the bus. Did that happen? I'm not saying they did, but I'm like, is that I've never seen a team out their own guy like that. Have you?
No, I've never heard of that in any sport.
No.
You keep that stuff in house, and media begs for you guys or for teams to bring stuff like that out, and that's where we're going to handle this in house. That's the company line.
They put it on Front Street, and then he got suspended later on, for behavior, and you're like, okay, here we go. What the hell's going on with this guy? And then the next thing we know, this thing pops up, and they'll be able to get out of the contract. Interestingly enough. So I'm just throwing stuff out there. We don't know what happened, why it happened, where it happened, who's in, there's so much we don't know, but it is something we need to talk about because he is the cornerstone of this franchise. And we can sit here and say, oh, he'll never play for the Rays again. We don't know that. The Major League Baseball union has a big union. Look at Matt Ariza, the punter, right? That just got signed by the Chiefs.
Yep, I was going to bring that up later.
Yeah, he gets named in correct me if my facts are off on this, but he gets named in a lawsuit, a sexual assault lawsuit, stemming around a 17-year-old girl. 2 days later, the Bills cut him. He wasn't found guilty of anything. He wasn't.
As a matter of fact, his name was removed from all the litigation. Like, he wasn't even there, and it was a college gang rape thing. Accusation is what it was, and it came out he wasn't even at the party.
Right. So, but the Bills released him, and he was, he was in the court of public opinion, he was convicted, much like Wander Franco has been in the court of public opinion. And then we find out, oh, wait a minute, he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. So
he was out of work for 2 seasons, no job, until he just got re-signed by the Chiefs.
How about that? And he wasn't even there. How unfair is that?
Yep. And
so when we don't know the situation, and boy, he should have some recourse on that situation. But we know he won't. But here we are with Wander. We don't know. Hell, he could be starting day one. We don't know. All this corruption that's going on that we could find out, oh, this was, a setup or something, blah, 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 blah. Charges have been dropped. He's free to go. Okay, now what? You just going to kick him to the curb?
Yeah.
No, you're not. I mean if you're the Rays, is that what you do?
No, you don't want to, but that's going to be the court of public opinion, is he's going to be guilty for the rest of his life, even if he's not.
But should that be? No. If you're the Rays, do you, what do you do? Do you trade him? Do you try to bring him back and rehabilitate his reputation? He's, he hasn't become a bad ball player. This just in. And last time I checked, Major League Baseball pays a hell of a lot of money for players like this.
Yeah.
Does he go play in Japan? I don't know, but I don't think his career is over by any stretch of the imagination. And if he goes and does a couple of years in jail, he's still a very young man. But will he be too toxic to come back and play in Major League Baseball? I don't know. And this is the thing. We don't know any of this. Yeah. We don't know any of it. So, I just think it's a bizarre situation, and I have no idea how it's going to shake out, but it's very important to the Rays' future.
And for the Rays now, if he does come back and, not guilty, he was never involved in any of this. It was a blackmail scheme. It was made up to get money from him, and he wants to come back and play for the Rays and fulfill his contract. Well, even before any of this happened, you'd already put stories out, but he was a bad teammate.
Right.
So now have you burned that bridge so where he ain't going to play for you again, even if he could?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he doesn't want to play for the Rays anymore the way they did him. So bizarre story. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Erik Erlendssen, Lightning Insider, will join us, and he will regale us with his Star Wars stories from last night. It was Star Wars night, Tim.
It was. I saw that.
I had to mix it up with Darth Maul and Lord Vader last night. Barely got through my.
Did you dress up?
I did not. But I had to put up with these lightsaber guys coming at me, man. Especially that Darth Maul with the two-sided thing, man. I got but I got it done. Under
good for you
trying circumstances. But Erik Erlendssen has some great stuff to tell us about. Story involving Baby Yoda and Phil Esposito. How about that?
Oh my gosh. Didn't expect that. If you had Baby Yoda and Phil Esposito on your JP Peterson bingo card this morning, you win.
There you go. Quick break. Back in 3. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Start the new year with a new diamond from the Gold and Diamond Source. It's still engagement season. Where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? Of course, I just got mine there. I'm engaged. You should do the same thing. Let's go. Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country. A literal jewelry superstore with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. And if you have a loved one or a special person in your life who has a birthday this month, maybe you have an anniversary coming up, you can get 15% off the January birthstone, which is garnet, as in garnet and gold for all your Seminoles. Celebrate that mythical national championship. And it's the Gold and Diamond Source's 40th anniversary. For the past 40 years, they have taken pride in offering only natural diamonds formed over billions of years from the Earth's incredible forces. And gold prices are at an all-time high. Now's your chance to turn your jewelry box into a cash machine. It's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. Excuse me. To the JP Peterson Show as we roll on here on this Friday, and the Bolts get ready for a little 3-game road trip. Coming off a bad homestand. We're brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Get that Italiano Insurance checkup and great customer service. I was speaking with Charity yesterday on the phone. I can't get into the details, but I'm just going to tell you, they gave me the best customer. They always give me great customer service. They saved me $1,000 on my auto insurance every 6 months from what I was paying. And I had an issue with that particular progressive insurance company, and they solved it, and they did all the work. They were on the line. Charity was on the line for hours with these people to finally get it done. I didn't have to do it. That's what you pay for. Holy moly. You know what I'm talking about. You don't want to be in voicemail hell. with one of these companies. That's why they handle that stuff. Why would you do it any other way? 813-877-7799. Let them do all the hassle, and you get the savings, and you don't have to deal with that stuff. So Italiano Insurance, it is worth it, folks. Trust me. You get great customer service. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Erik Erlendssen, my longtime colleague, formerly of the Tampa Tribune. We were together again last night, and look at him there. He's got Baby Yoda on his shoulder. I love it.
Now, JP, you know his name's not Baby Yoda, right? You know what the character's name is, even?
Well,
you don't watch the show?
Eric does.
Oh, yeah. Grogu.
It's Grogu. Right.
Is it not Baby Yoda? Can we not call him Baby Yoda?
It's not Yoda. Once we got an actual name during the series.
Okay.
So that's what.
Excuse me. Didn't mean to misgender Grogu or whatever I did there.
Misrepresented.
Sorry. I could go to jail for this, in some places. Tatooine. They'll send me to Tatooine or Hoth. Right, yeah. Erik?
You don't want to go to Hoth.
No. Or Tatooine, really.
I'd much rather be in Tatooine than Hoth.
I would be, yeah.
I want to go to that planet where they have the Amazon ladies that run around just like with no clothes on. What planet is that? I saw that in a Star Trek episode sometime. William Shatner was marooned there, I think. That's the one I want to see.
Piece of advice: don't ever confuse Star Trek and Star Wars.
No.
See, I did that again. Eric's just going to push the button and be done with me because I've misidentified. It's a disaster. My sci-fi stuff is. Look, I grew up with Star Trek. I mean, I grew up with that was my thing.
Man. I love both. But I don't confuse them. Like I know which one's which.
I mean, listen, you want to start comparing them. I mean, William Shatner, that dude was a stud.
Still is.
Yeah, still is, right?
I mean, I know Captain Kirk never flew the Millennium Falcon. Okay, I know enough to not make that.
I know that.
I'm just making sure.
That Enterprise was a badass. That's all I'm saying. Those phasers, I mean, come on. That stuff was amazing. All right,
we're digging a hole here.
So tell me the Espo Grogu story.
All right, so obviously it was Star Wars night last night, and I had my Grogu tie and I had my socks to go with it, and I actually took this out of my son's room to wear this. So I walk into the radio booth before the game starts to get ready to do my hit with Greg, and Phil just gives you that look, just like, he's like, "What is that?" I said, "Well, that's Grogu." He goes, basically, he said, "Aren't you too old to be wearing something like that?" And he's probably right, but he did not like it, but then he found out it was magnetized because it's a little magnet plate under here.
I see how it stays up there.
That's kind of cool. So fast forward to second intermission. Obviously, the Lightning are down 3-1, and I walk by him, and he goes, "You need to change that to the other shoulder. You need to change the luck around." I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." So I put it on my right shoulder, and for a while, Phil looked like a genius because they scored 2 goals in 24 seconds. Washington grabs the 4-3 lead. Oh, no, it's coming back on an offside that was about that far offside. I'm like, Phil is a genius. And then Rasmus Sandin happened and ruined the whole storyline.
Killed your lead. You already had the lead written. It was all about the Grogu luck on Star Wars night. It's going to be fascinating. As a writer, this is a dream come true. Yep. It's all working out well until we leave Rasmus Sandin wide open in the middle of the ice to just steal our whole world. It's awful. The Force was not with us. The Force was not with us.
No, it was not.
It was not.
Nope.
So let's talk about that little sequence as we did last night on the post-game show. These are the things that when you're playing good hockey, they just don't happen. They just don't happen. And the Lightning have been bit by this, and they were a lot early in the season. This game, the last 2 games, have reminded me a lot of the early season mistakes.
Yeah, especially last night, on the game-winning goal. It's kind of a nothing play, and Strome is behind the net with the puck, and that's not the dangerous guy. He's not scoring from back there. And, the 2 defensemen are in front of the net, which is where they're supposed to be. And Cole Koepke, who was just called up, he hadn't been up here for about a month or so, tracks the puck. So he's drifting to his right. Well, Rasmus Sandin behind him notices that, so he jumps into that empty space and has all kinds of time to pick his spot, and he did. And it's just those are mental mistakes. Like I see a lot of criticism for the defensive structure and the defensive system. That play didn't really have much to do with their system or structure. That's just an awareness problem, and that is something that happened a lot early on in the season. You would see players focus too much on the puck and not be aware of what's going on around them and where the danger is going to be, not where it's at, but where it's going to be. As Wayne Gretzky always said, I want to know where the puck's going to be, not know where it's at. Right. And that's kind of what kind of burned them a little bit. And, mistakes in the Ottawa game cost them 3 to 4 goals, direct turnovers that led to odd man rushes. And then last night, a couple more mistakes, including another odd man rush, a 2-on-1 goal, because nobody covered the right point when Darren Radish cut down low. That's just awareness and understanding. And right now their heads are not there.
Is it just inexperience on the defensive end, or is it lack of intensity? What would you say?
Well, it's definitely not lack of experience. I think, like, you have Hayden Fleury, who's had some regular minutes this year, which he hasn't had. He didn't get last year at all. You bring in a Calvin DeHaan. You've got a Mil Lilleberg up here now. So there is some, not necessarily inexperience, but not experience with partners and players. Right. And Darren Radish, this is his first full year in the NHL as well. And this is where you miss Sergachev, right?
Yeah.
I know he wasn't playing well before he got injured, but he is a guy that plays 23 minutes a night. He's familiar with the system. He's familiar with, Hedman and all that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily inexperience. It's not experience with each other. And it's almost a completely new blue line back there.
Mm-hmm. Tim covers the Stars and has for a long time. And I want him to, because this is a separate set of eyes. You and I watch every game. We watch every minute. Tim, give Eric, when we started off, what you watched the whole game last night, your take on last night, and we'll get his reaction.
Yeah, so, both of these teams, obviously, the playoffs have already started for them, where they are in the standings, and you've got to win. You've got to win against the right teams. Washington is right behind you in the standings. They're in your barn, and you're 3-3 midway through the third period. And what I saw, again, not as a raise, or God, I did it again, JP, as a Lightning, it's my concussion. I'm concussed, by the way, Eric, so I have excuses. The Lightning, you got to put that one away. If you're going to consider yourself a contender for this season, whether you make it, through or however you get in the playoffs as the 1 or the 2 wild card, that's a game you got to put away. And you let the Caps, who, again, not a great team, and they're on the road, pretty much take the last half of that third period over from you. It looked to me like they wanted it more. I know that's a cliche. They were beating the Lightning to the pucks. That 3-on-1 was inexcusable to give up that odd man rush at that point of the game. And I just saw the Caps look like they wanted it more.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. And you're right, that 3-on-1 is inexcusable. And that's just awareness, right? Mm-hmm. They weren't aware of who, like, you have to understand. That's where trust in players come from. And that's why, especially in hockey, probably more than any other sport, teams do off-ice bonding situations, team building exercises. Mm-hmm. They do that a ton for just this type of moment, because nobody recognized the right side defenseman was down by the circle, right? You have to understand who's back there. So again, just being aware and smart, playing smarter, not necessarily harder, I think has to come with it too. And you look at specifically these last two games you felt the Lightning could win and probably should have won, especially on home ice. They beat themselves. And that is a trait, JP, that they were doing back in October and November, where, they were giving up the odd man rushes and the breakaways because it's just silly turnovers. And that's what it comes down to. I don't ever want to question the effort of a team. And I thought that they competed hard last night, just like they did in Boston when they won that game against the Bruins in Boston. They just didn't compete the right way. And that was with awareness and smarts. And, that comes down to understanding time, situation, everything like that. And they weren't in the right spot last night. And that's why they ended up on the wrong side of it and didn't get anything. I mean, you had to at least get a point out of that game, and they got nothing.
Not to go back to Star Wars, but I have to do this. So Erik had a great analogy last night of that third period that you just described. What was it, Erik? How did you describe it?
Their game is stuck in Hoth, and they need to get to Tatooine.
Wow.
Their game is cold and frozen at times. They need to get things warmed up and get a heater going on.
Get a heater going on. No, I also, as we did last night on the post-game show, I asked you about Vasilevsky and how he's played the last few games. I had more than one person come up to me last night. I think Vasi's hurt again. I think he's hurt again. He's not moving the way he normally does. I'm like, he was pretty damn good. The first 10, he was okay. And then the next 10, he was fantastic. And then the last few, maybe not. Where are you at with Vasi right now?
I think the break hurt him. He was playing really good leading into the All-Star break. I mean, that game against Jersey, where the exact opposite of what we've just been talking about, where they had a response every time the Devils would score, the Lightning responded. And specifically, I remember I think it was 3-1 late in the second period, and Jesper Bratt has a breakaway, and Vasi stops him. Just that we talked about that last night. We're used to him making those type of saves.
Incredible saves.
And he was in that zone. And I think coming out of the break, he hasn't looked the same. I honestly think, too, a little bit has to do with some of the shock of what happened with Mikhail Sergachev. I know we're 2 weeks past that, but, they're close. They're very close. All three of those guys, Kuch, Vasi, and Sergachev, are all very, very close, and he can't play this year. He has a traumatic leg injury. So I think there's some mental hangover from that's still there. It's not an excuse, and it shouldn't be that way. You have a job, and you have to go out and perform, but I don't think they have. Looking at the game last night, he probably should have had the Strome goal. They made it 2-0. I went back and looked at it a couple times last night. You can actually see, I don't know if he didn't expect the shot. I don't think he was screened, but his anticipation wasn't very good because the puck is already off of Strome's stick and he's still in his crouch. He hasn't reacted to it yet. And that's a sign of a goalie who's just not on his game right now.
Yeah. Erik Erlendssen joining us here at lightninginsider.com. So the deadline's coming up, and with Sergei's money available to spend now, $8.6 million. I know Tarasenko has been linked to the Lightning. What type of move? I think something big is coming because that's what Brisebois does. What do you think?
Well, I just wonder if they don't have the assets. They have the rarity. They have the cap space now because of the LTI situation with Sergachev. I just don't know if they have the assets. They don't have a first this year or next year. They don't have a second this year. You don't really have any blue chip prospects outside of Isaac Howard, who was their first round pick a couple of years ago, was a star for Team USA at the World Juniors this year, tied for the tournament leading goals.
And you can't trade him.
I don't think so. You don't have grade A prospects, and that's just a product of success and drafting late and trading draft picks to win Stanley Cups.
Right.
Look, they need help on defense. I mean, and we don't know what's going to go on with Hayden Fleury. I don't know if that was a shoulder. I don't know if that was a concussion when he took that hit from Tom Wilson last night. Either way, he's going to miss some time. You're not, especially with Sergachev out now, you're thin on the left side. Once you get past Victor Hedman, you're very thin. Noah Hannafin is a name that's out there, but he's one of the top guys on the market. I don't know if they can compete asset-wise with other teams that are going to want to bring in Noah Hannafin, even though he's probably just a rental situation. It's going to be very interesting. We got a couple weeks until March 8th. Julian and his staff certainly have their work cut out for them. They need help. There's no doubt they need it. I just don't know if they can afford the kind of help that they're going to need. So do they become sellers at the deadline? Do you move a Calvin DeHaan? Do you move a Connor Sherry, even though he has a no trade clause? I mean, there's some interesting, there's some interesting moves that Julian and staff have to come up with.
So you wouldn't be punting on the season, but you're just saying, look, we don't have any assets. We need to rebuild. We've lost Sergachev. Vasi's still getting back into gear. Maybe this just isn't our year. Maybe we just recoup some of those assets by, selling off. Nobody wants to hear that. No. Nobody wants to hear that, but it might be the play.
Yeah, and again, it's interesting too because you get in, you have a chance. That's
right.
Florida came out of the number. Yeah, and Florida came out of the number 2 wild card last season. Different circumstances, but they were outside of the playoffs in January, and they just got hot and rode it all the way to the Stanley Cup final. So they have the goalie when he's on his game that can do that for you. And so that's why I think it's interesting. Which direction is Julian and Matthew Darsh and Jamie Pusher and that staff going to go and what they want to do the trade line? I don't think they're going to stand pat. I think they'll do something one way or the other. But one thing we know about Julian, he's not afraid to be bold.
No. I never even thought about them being sellers, to be quite honest. I'm not in that mindset, but at some point you gotta retool.
Yeah, well, hey, this weekend is huge. This is a huge weekend now that they lost these 2 games to Ottawa and Washington last night. The Islanders are 5 points behind with 2 games in hand. The Devils are 5 points behind with a game in hand. You win both of those games, you got a 7-point cushion on both of them. That's a big difference. And if you lose them, all of a sudden it's 3, and both those teams have games in hand. So, that's what last night's game really did, is they put an emphasis on both of these games. And, Jonas Johansson's probably going to get one of the starts. I didn't think he was very good in his last start on the island. In fact, I don't think he was good at all on the island. So it's this weekend is suddenly. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that this weekend could make or break their season.
All right, one final question: has Disney screwed up Star Wars?
Boy, that's a really good question.
No, you didn't see that one coming, did you? No.
Their series on Disney Plus, I think, have been really good. Andor is exceptional. That's an exceptional storytelling.
Which one?
Andor.
Okay.
It ties into Rogue One. What else? Ahsoka. I thought was
good.
I thought Ahsoka was good. I didn't expect it to basically be Rebels Part 2.
Right.
But I did enjoy it. I thought it was a really good storyline. Obviously, Mandalorian is awesome. I can't wait. They're coming out with a movie, the Mandalorian movie. I can't wait.
I've watched that. That is really, really good and really well done. Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett was a little strange. I
thought it was unnecessary because we already had the Mandalorian.
Yeah, because it turned into Mandalorian season 2.5 is what it turned into, which is fine. I mean, I love Mandalorian, but you set it up as Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan, I really enjoyed Obi-Wan. I thought that was really good. The movies, I really didn't like the third trilogy. By the time we got to that third movie, I was like, what am I watching? So I don't think they've done a good job of the movies, but I think their shows on Disney
Plus series are good.
Great. Yeah.
We got a movie coming out though, don't we? This summer? Or doing
Star Wars movie? I don't think there's a Star Wars movie coming out.
That's what I'm aware of. They're talking about resurrecting the last trilogy and making a Rey movie as episode 10, I guess is what they're going to call it. But, a follow-up to the last trilogy. But I don't know that they've announced anything about that yet.
No. But they had the Mandalorian movie. And
JP, you have to understand that this last trilogy that we all had to suffer through so horribly was basically because they had the movies weren't written at the same time. Like you had different directors and writers coming in and changing things. We had this director for this movie, and then
that's a recipe for a disaster.
Fired or quit the next movie, and he didn't like the direction that director was going, so he literally changes the storyline here. And then the third movie, the same thing. You're like, well, we don't really like that where that storyline was going, so we're going to go this way. And none of them made sense. They weren't cohesive. They were just bad. It's unfortunate.
And that happened to Solo. Right, they had to change directors 3/4 of the way through the movie. Ron Howard had to come in and try and save it as much as he could, and even that one was kind of But you know what? Rogue One might be the best Star Wars movie.
Loved it. Yep, might be the best.
Great storytelling, everything. Awesome movie.
Agreed.
I did enjoy that one, and I like The Mandalorian too. I will continue to watch that. When does that season start again?
I don't even think they started filming season 4 yet. Maybe they're going to go to the movie and then go after that. Hey, Pedro Pascal is very popular these days. He's hard to pin down.
Oh, I got you. Okay. All right. Well, you and Grogu have a great day and enjoy the weekend.
Got his name right.
I did, right? I didn't say Baby Yoda. No. Grogu, enjoy and you'll be on this weekend, right? Doing last call, correct?
Yeah, I'll be on with Chief tomorrow on last call after the Islanders game, and then Johnny's back on Sunday. But I'll still be part of the broadcast, pregame intermissions, all that kind of stuff.
102.5 HD2, folks, where you can listen to this show each and every day. And then we have Lightning Power Lunch coming up right after us with Greg Linnelli and Dave Mishkin. So check out the 102.5 HD2. Great content all the time. Lightning fans and all sports fans. All right, Eric, thanks. Oh, tell us about lightninginsider.com as well, your website.
Yeah, that's the website. You can see it right down there. It's 2 plans. There's a yearly plan. There's a monthly plan. Check it out. It's a way to support me, keep me in this game, so to speak, in a lot of ways. It's 7 years I've been doing it. I wish it would grow some more. So if you have any inclinations, please give us a subscription. Yeah. And hey, guys, I enjoyed this conversation today. Good stuff.
Thank you. Appreciate it. As always, we love chatting with you, my friend, all the time. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side, get to a couple of Justin Fields. Where is he headed? Is it Steelers? Is it Falcons? We don't know. Could be somewhere else. We'll talk about that. And NIL coming to the state of Florida for high school kids. That's right, folks. NIL for high school kids.
You knew it was coming.
You knew it was coming. And you got to keep up with the Joneses, which is why we're doing it. So we'll talk about that when we come back. We are brought to you by Synovus Bank. They are the big bank with the local bank feel. Go see my good friend John Acosta over there, or anybody that works at Synovus. They've been in the business a long time here locally. They will help you with your business banking or your personal banking, whatever you need. It's Synovus Bank, the big bank with the very, very local feel. Go to synovus.com to get the location near you. Back in 3. Stay with us.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. As we get into some NFL off-season talk. Get to the comments as well. Thank you guys for jumping in here. Whether you're listening on 102.5 HD2, the Strike, we're back on the radio. Great station, by the way. Lock that thing in. Steve Versnick gives you a little lightning morning update every day. We have the live show coming up after us at noon to 1 with Lightning Power Lunch. Greg Linnelli, Dave Mishkin. Our show is live from 10 to 12. And a lot of other great content. Martini Mondays with Phil Esposito and Bobby the Chief Taylor, another podcast that we play from time to time. So check it out. Lock it in 102.5 HD2 on your radio.
So, JP, I got a little bit of breaking news here. Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times reports that this morning the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield have begun contract discussions.
Yeah, I saw that. I was just reading that story. It really is not breaking news at all.
I know.
It's not breaking news.
But they always come out, breaking news. And I'm like, okay, all right.
They're going to talk.
Right.
That's the breaking news. They're going to talk. No disrespect to Rick. He didn't.
By the way,
he didn't throw it out there as breaking news.
Rick is not the one that said it was breaking news.
No, that was you.
Mike Florio said it was breaking news.
You know, it's funny because I'm reading it. I saw it pop up on the Times website.
Yep.
And I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be like big news, like breaking news. It's not breaking news. It's like, yeah, eventually they were going to talk.
Right.
And they have been talking, by the way. They started these talks a while ago. I know that for a fact, but very preliminary. I think the Bucs wanted to get something done during the season, but I think, Baker Mayfield was like, we're good. Let's see how this plays out.
Do you wonder if Baker and Evans are both like, look, I'll come back if he comes back?
Yeah, of course.
And now they've got to work out deals for both of them now.
Look, this is all a matter of want to.
Sure.
If we're being honest about this is a matter of want to, and it's a matter of relationships. The Bucs have enough money to get both deals done, but it's a matter of want. How desperate are the Bucs to keep both of these guys? How much money are their agents going to demand?
Right.
And I think it's a very interesting situation because you've got suitors, obviously, for both.
Yeah.
And in Rick's piece, he mentions the Patriots will be a suitor for Baker Mayfield because, as he writes, one team that has been reported as a possible suitor is the Patriots. Many members of their organization, including Director of Scouting Elliott Wolf, front office executive Alonzo Highsmith, offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, and QB coach T.C. McCartney once worked for the Browns and like Mayfield. So a lot of connections there. You have some connections in Atlanta, which we'll talk about Justin Fields here in just a second, where I think Baker, the offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, worked with Baker and with the Rams. And obviously Raheem Morris did as well, was there when Baker played for the five weeks. So there's familiarity there. I believe there's trust. There's probably a great relationship. Where else would Baker could go to the Steelers? That's obviously familiar with the division. They're familiar with him.
Man, they're in trouble too.
Yeah. And it seems like I think he would, I'm not pushing him there, but I think he would be a good fit in Pittsburgh, just in that division. Mike Tomlin and Baker seem to be very in sync in the terms of their personalities, high intensity, high in competitiveness. So that all these places are possible landing spots. But I think Baker wants to stay here. He said that he wants to stay here. Liam Cohen, if you saw when Liam Cohen and Baker, the Bucs put out a little video when they first saw each other at the facility. I mean, it was like the bro hug, the whole, like they've been boys for, because they know each other well, but it was like the whole thing. And it was, if you're reading between the lines, it's like, yeah, you're here because I'm here. We're going to get the deal done. And it would just be silly. It would be silly for Baker Mayfield to go someplace else. We did this analogy the other day of the hot girl, and you've been dating around and you got dumped by three, mediocre chicks. And then, a pretty, who's the singer? Oh God, his story, the Jelly Roll, right? Do you know his story?
I don't know that I know who that is.
You don't know Jelly Roll? So he's this great country singer, and his life was a mess, like a tremendous mess. And this, professional woman, very well-to-do woman saw him perform and was like, I'm gonna find out about this guy, and I'm gonna make him a star. And she kind of took him under his wing. I was kind of simplifying the story, and said, and they're together and brought him along, and now he's a superstar. Mm-hmm. So, Baker's kind of the same way. He was dumped by, some really ugly chicks.
Right.
And now here comes the Bucks. We're stable. We look good in a bikini. We're pretty hot. We're a solid 8. We've won the Super Bowls recently. So we love you. You come. Let's do this together. Why would you run away from that? I mean, yeah, some of these other girls are shaking their tush and they look good, but you don't know what's under that skirt. Especially this day and age, you have no idea what's under that skirt. So
only one way to find out.
And why would you go for the unknown when you got this right here? You love everybody you work with. They just brought in. You handpicked your offensive coordinator. You love the receivers. You love everything about Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay loves you. My God, we have embraced him. Why? I mean, he's a smart cat. He knows where you're going to go chase a couple extra $1 million to the unknowns. He's not going to do that. I'm not saying he's giving the Bucks some huge hometown discount, but I would expect it to be a little bit, maybe a little bit less than 30 million or around 30 million in a very,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking this contract is going. And for a starting experienced quarterback as good as he was last year, I think that's fair for both sides.
1 year deal, 2 year deal. What do you think?
I think it's a 3-year deal.
Oh, wow.
I think it's a 3-year deal with probably 80 to 100 million guaranteed. And I think that's something that certainly he could live with. I mean, you could do worse, especially in the situation. He was freaking almost out of football. At the end of last year, So I think that's something that he would love. And it leaves money on the table to sign Mike and get Antoine done and get Tristan Wirfs done because the salary cap's going up to 250. So I think this is a matter of want to for everyone involved. Mike, do you want to be here? Okay, so you're going to make 3 or 4 million less than you would in Houston. You want to uproot your family, all that stuff. You really want to do that? I know he has a home in Galveston as well, but do you really want to do that? You got your quarter. I know CJ Stroud looks good too, but you don't know how you're going to fit into that offense, all that stuff. You just never know. You know what you have here, so I just think it all gets done. I could be wrong, but I think the Bucks are smart enough to know that they got something good. They want to invest in Mike Evans. They want to invest in Baker Mayfield and keep it going.
That would send a message to the fans, right? Too, yes. Like if you bring them both back, and it's going to cost you some money. Yeah. Per your numbers here, we're talking $50 million annually for both of them to stay on the team. But that's a good investment, right? That's a good investment.
Which, from a cap hit standpoint, you do the voidable years, you're looking at probably 35 to 40 million in cap hit, which is not with the $250 million payroll to have a number one receiver, a dominant receiver, and a quarterback. At that number, which is less than a lot of just quarterbacks in this league, you're doing all right. You're doing pretty. I mean, that's good, and you can get everybody else signed, and you can continue with a winning atmosphere. All that stuff continues. If you're the Bucks, you want to. And by the way, let's not forget the Glazers are flush with cash right now. They just got a $1.5 billion investment in Manchester United, so they are in terms of. They're doing all right. They have no qualms about bonus money or any of that stuff and investment into the team. There and I believe the Bucks become more of a singular focus for them as well. So they don't want to. I mean, think about this. You want to become an also-ran, and you want to say no to Mike Evans and no to Baker Mayfield, and just then where are you? You're going into a draft. You're picking 26th. You got to move up. You don't want to give up draft capital that you're going to have to move up to because you got to fill holes on this team. No, I mean, you spend the money, you kick some of the can down the road as much as you can. I think you can get Winfield, Wirfs, Baker, Evans. You can and then hopefully franchise your kicker McLaughlin because you got a long-term deal with Antoine Winfield, and you can bring back Levante David, I think, as well. So I think that's what you want to do if you're Jason Light. And I think all the guys, and here's a good thing. You've got relationships between Mike Evans and Baker and Levante and Antoine. These guys want to be together. They want to build something here. this is not, with all due respect, Cowboys situation where Micah Parsons is, going off on freaking every show he can go off on. I don't know what the hell what's going on there.
He's just a kid. Remember, he's still just a kid. I
know. But we don't have that drama. We don't have any of that drama. We don't need it. Don't have it. Don't want it. And none of these guys do either. They want it. They're football oriented guys. They know, you can get some more green. There's greener pastures out there, but is it really greener? You don't know. You don't know what's on the other side. So I sense that Jason Light and this organization, especially the Glazers, are committed to get this stuff done. And I think they can get it all done. I expect them all back. Could be wrong, but
so you said Baker, he'd stay if it was just a matter of a couple of $1 million. He'd stay in Tampa rather than going, to Atlanta or Denver. Where, what do you think the number is though for him in his mind? Is it an additional $5 million a year over 3 years? You think he'd go somewhere else, or 7 to 10? Because there's a chance.
I think you got to get to 7 to 10 more a year. I think if the Bucks are guaranteeing you 90, I think somebody's going to have to guarantee you 120. I don't see anybody doing that for Baker Mayfield. I love Bake, but we're getting into ridiculous's here,
Right.
And by the way, he's not the only quarterback on the market.
No,
he's not the only quarterback on the market. And if Baker's agent, now here's the other thing, Baker's agent, Tom Mills. Okay. Tom Mills is not, a Scott Boras. He's not, I'm trying to think of the agent that has most of the quarterbacks. It used to be Lee Steinberg.
Yeah.
I forget who it is now, but he's not a grizzled, veteran NFL quarterback agent whose sole reputation is posting the biggest numbers he could possibly get for his client. And that's what he's solely focused on, like a Boris, like a Rosenhaus, like some of these others where it's more about the agent than it is about the player. And the agent is all about money. Money's the most important thing. Don't worry about your situation. They're going to tell you that they want a hometown to, I don't get that Tom Mills is that kind of guy. I think that Tom Mills is probably an agent that is more responsive to his client. And I think that's why Baker Mayfield has him, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to just go for the money, you would probably go with some other CAA or some other agency, right? If you were just looking to max out money. He's not doing that. So I think it's going to be a fair deal. I don't think it's going to be a break the bank deal. I think it's going to be a deal where we'll sit here and say, Baker Mayfield left some money on the table for Mike Evans, and that makes him look great. And that's because that's who he is. It doesn't make him look great. It is great because that's who he is. And that's who Mike is. And I think Mike will leave a few million on the table to stay here. Not a ton, but I think Houston has to outbid the Bucks by $5 million per year. And I think $5 to $7 million a year. And I think the same for anybody that's coming after Bake. Right. Because of no taxes for the most part. Of course, Texas doesn't have it either, right?
Sure.
But some other places do, New England, Pennsylvania, California. So, I think there's differences there. But in the end, that's why I think they all come back.
And I was sitting there thinking about Baker Mayfield. I'm like, man, all the places he's been, his career was kind of going the way of I was trying to think like Sam Bradford, right? Just never really clicked anywhere. He was a lot of different stops. And then I was sitting there thinking, man, this might be Baker's last shot at a big deal. He's probably getting up there in age. I just read that he's only 28 years old still, JP. I had no idea he was only 28 still. It seems like he's been in the league for 10 years.
But I still think this is going to be his last big contract.
Well, if he signs a 3-year deal in Tampa and they get close, win a couple of playoff games over those 3 years, there's a chance. True. He's only going to be 31.
Right.
There's a chance he can get another big deal if things go well. Now, I don't think if things go south in Tampa that another team will give him a big contract. I think this is it. He's got to hit in Tampa to get another contract to stay there after whatever this deal is.
Yeah. And, well, my comp on him is Kirk Cousins. He bet on himself like Kirk did in the franchise tag. He performed. And I think Bake will keep performing like Kirk Cousins does. I think he's a 28 to 30 touchdown, 10 interception guy, 4,000 yards. I think that's who he is. You can win with that, obviously. You can win with that. Can you win the big show with it? We'll see. There's a lot that goes into that, obviously, and having a Pat Mahomes that performs in the moment. But here's something about Baker that you also saw. He knows how to win games. He knows how to win in the 2-minute. He knows how to make plays. That is a huge deal in this game. That's what makes Pat Mahomes so special.
Yeah.
That's what made Brady so special. How do you perform in the big moments? We saw comeback after comeback after comeback.
Right.
What did he have? 3 fourth-quarter comebacks in this season, and had another one in Houston that the defense gave up. So when asked to win games, Baker Mayfield has done it, and he's done it in pressure situations. So that's a huge feather in his cap, and that's one of the reasons you got to bring him back, because you can have all the ability in the world. You can have Caleb Williams' ability. You can have Drake May ability. But what does that guy do when those 34-year-old guys in the huddle are looking at you going, all right, we got minute 40, you got a timeout, and we need 7. What do you got there, kid? What's between what do you got under that skirt?
Yeah, look how many guys came out of college that all had that ability.
Right.
That failed miserably because they didn't have the mindset. And Baker's proven he has the mindset and the ability.
Exactly.
So there you go.
You've seen it. It's proven. It's not, we think Caleb Williams can do it. We think Drake May can do it. We think Jaden Daniels can do it. We think Justin Herbert can do it. We ain't seen it.
Hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah. So we think. I've seen it with Baker Mayfield. He knows how to win games in the fourth quarter. He knows how to make plays, big throws at big moments.
Yep.
He's also threw an interception at a big moment too, but that's
a little bit. But you know what? All those gunslinger type guys have, right?
It's going to happen.
Favre,
Peyton Manning,
yeah. Steve Young.
They've all
those guys.
Tom Brady.
You throw big interceptions in big games.
Yeah, it happens. And you got to be willing to do it too.
Yeah.
And sometimes guys aren't Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
And you don't get the opportunity. So, all right, partner, good stuff. Appreciate you as always. Great conversations today. Big thanks to Doug Waechter, who joined us in our first hour. Erik Erlendssen, Star Wars and Lightning expert. If you missed that, you got to go check that out with Go Groot.
Stuff, man. Good stuff.
Did I get that right?
Grogu.
Go. I said Go Groot. Grogu.
Grogu. Yeah.
I was missing up my Groots with my Go Groot.
There you go. Proud of you, though, for getting it right.
Yeah, sometimes I do it on purpose. So check us out at 102.5 HD2 on the FM dial there. Also, Apple and Spotify. Please subscribe, and you can listen to it anytime as a podcast. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great weekend. Go Bolts, and we'll talk to you on Monday.